Welcome back to Defunct Snocross. I am Kevin. I'm excited to bring you one of my favorite teams from back in the day because it involves one of my favorite racers, my idol, and that is Blair Morgan Racing Team, now on Defunct Snocross. Here we go. To know the origins of the Blair Morgan Racing Team, you need to step further back in time to Blair's beginning. Back in the late 90s, Blair emerged as a dominant force in Canadian motocross, clinching the national title. Yet even during the motocross off-season, Blair's passion for speed didn't wane. He enjoyed riding sleds, pushing them to their limits. The dealers in local Prince Albert knew Blair as a kid who always broke parts that no one else was. One day, the employees of the dealership were talking to Jamie Anshu, Team Arctic Cat racer and team manager for Team Arctic Canada, about this kid Blair who was coming in and getting all of these parts. Now you also have to think about these mid to late 90s sleds. As Blair described, back then we were racing refrigerators with skis. For you young kids today, these old sleds wouldn't be able to take the pounding like modern snowcross sleds. This could mean either Blair was a terrible rider with bad luck, or he had skills that snowmobiles couldn't handle. Jamie is a forward thinker and thought what others hadn't. He must be breaking these parts for a good reason. Despite being slated to race in the semi-pro category, Blair convinced the team to let him compete against seasoned veterans. Although victory eluded him, Blair's performance caught the attention of the snowmobile world, igniting the stand-up style fire that would fuel his legendary snowcross career. Under Jamie's guidance, Blair soared to new heights with Team Arctic, securing multiple championships and etching his name at the top of the snowcross world. In the 2001 season, Blair and Tucker Hibbert dominated almost every final. However, as Blair's contract with Team Arctic Cat came to an end at the end of the season, he faced a pivotal decision. Blair said he grew up riding cats, and the team was a smaller knit group than other manufacturers. So it wasn't an easy decision to consider other rides. During this time, the elite spot to be on was a manufacturer team. The sport didn't have a rider who was also team owner calling the shots. Ski-Doo approached Blair with not only a larger payday, but the opportunity of owning his own team. For years, sponsors had approached Blair wanting to sign with him. With a factory team, Blair wasn't able to sign with them, but now being the owner, the door was wide open. The last item would be the cherry on top of the deal. Ski-Doo would be unveiling a sled that would revolutionize the industry. The sled was designed after Blair's stand-up style. The new sled would be the REV chassis. I remember being at Duluth Thanksgiving weekend all those years back and thinking, what the heck is that? That doesn't look like a snowmobile. Side panels? Where am I gonna put my hot dog cooker? Of course I said out loud, this thing is ugly. But I really said that to cover up my fear of the REV. If you didn't ride Ski-Doos, you were in trouble. Prior to signing with Ski-Doo, Blair was flown in a private jet by BRP to see the REV firsthand. With all of this, Blair Morgan Racing Team was established for the 2001-2002 deal when Blair signed with Ski-Doo. Jamie would follow Blair to the new team with the roles of manager and co-owner of the team. Jamie was like a college football scout, but for snowcross. He had a knack for finding and developing riders, probably one of the best when you can put Blair Superman Morgan on your resume. Running a national multi-rig team required a full staff of managers, crew chief, mechanics, and of course racers. I saw one article where Jamie stated for 2006 they had 14 people on staff at BMRT. Blair would be able to run 2 semi-trailers, sign multiple racers of different classes. Jamie was a true scout for talent. From the start, the team had Blair, Carl Kuster, Vincent Clark, and a female pro, Amanda Johnson. Carl Kuster was Blair's teammate on Cat, and he excelled even further at BMRT once he made the move over there. During the 04 season, he would be a points leader for a time. He secured multi-race wins, podiums with the team, and Carl even eventually racked up 4 X Games medals. Cajun Kunishus was a high-flying and fast racer on BMRT. He was a top contender in the semi-pro class with many podiums, and he eventually turned pro. Scrap Iron Earl Reimer would be another Cat racer turned do. Blair was teammates with Earl at his time with Cat. The two had been roommates in Thief River Falls, Minnesota, the home of Arctic Cat. Blair joked that Earl was a grumpy old guy, but had an intense work ethic that he admired. I believe this was the catalyst for Blair acquiring Earl for the team. He was a solid rider, and Earl would put in 110%. Earl had a memorable win at the 2003 Duluth National in the Open class, making a pass on the last lap of the Pro Open Final. Probably the best race of his career. In my opinion, his best racing was at BMRT. One racer who was scouted at the young age of 14 was Brett Turcotte. Brett lived out his racer's dream of being a factory-supported racer for Blair. He would be with the team for 7 years and accomplished a silver medal at X Games with his time at BMRT in 2007. Other racers included the 167 of Dave Allard, the 130 of Willie Elam, and the 48 of Garth Kaufman. Garth Kaufman would be a sledneck rider turned racer who would race for multiple teams like the Christian Brothers Racing and later wrench for his cousin Tucker Hibbert. The final 2 racers I'll cover for BMRT will be the number 2 of Steve Taylor and the 93 of Ian Hayden. Steve would be on the program for BMRT about midway through the program's life. Now, Steve was known as a fast, kind of balls-out racer. Sometimes this would get him in a little bit of trouble, and he would also be kind of considered reckless by some other racers. But that speed would get him podiums. Hayden would eventually replace Steve's spot on the team. And he can also be credited as one of the few riders to be on all 4 manufacturer teams. By the time of their last season for 07 and 08, Blair Morgan Racing Team had racked up an impressive 12 Winter X Games medals, 7 of them gold, 3 silver, and 2 bronze. They would also clinch 12 WPSA championships. Back before the days of social media, we didn't have all the news like we did today. I never heard of a lot of backstory going into the 2008-2009 season. We all know that in the September 2008, Blair suffered a career-ending injury. I for years thought that this is why Blair Morgan Racing Team closed its doors. It wasn't until recently, while Blair was on the Carbide podcast, I learned Blair had plans to move on from the team. Blair wanted to finish out his career focusing just on racing. He was slated to be Robbie Malinowski's teammate for Boss Racing Ski-Doo. I would understand why Blair would want to do this. All the demands of being a team owner can distract an athlete from their main focus, winning. I'm not a golfer, but I recently watched an episode of Full Swing on Netflix. Rory McIlroy spoke about the role of player director for the PGA. The distractions caused his normally consistent golf game to slide, even making it so he missed the cut for the Masters in 2023. That's why Blair wanted to switch just to racing, so he could go back to winning. So either way, the team would have been defunct. Kuster would retire in 2007 and start up a partnership with BRP, forming the Carl Kuster Mountain Park, serving as a Ski-Doo ambassador and guiding people in the mountains. I recently saw a video of him hill climbing his old BMRT mod up a mountain course. Brett Turcotte runs a successful YouTube channel and is a freestyle rider for snow and moto. He went on to win gold medals in X Games for freestyle speed and style, and you can follow his videos at Turcotte16 on YouTube. In recent years, Brett had Blair on his channel to talk about the old days. Willie Elam, like Turcotte, is still riding and performing at freestyle shows like Brett. This year, Earl Reimer raced the Pro 30 class at Duluth for Flips and Racing. Great seeing him back on the track and having fun. Now this brings us to Blair. In an interview, he stated that it took nearly 7 years to get used to life with his injury. He all but disappeared from the sport, which for fans like myself was hard to have your favorite racer and your idol go through something like that and that had a hole left in me. But then he started coming back to races. Blair is an important figure to the sport, and having him there is motivating for riders and for the fans. He is a humble guy, and in interviews, Blair says he doesn't do much with his current role at Ski-Doo. But Blair's role at Ski-Doo is this: he's a team coach for the racers. A coach is a pivotal role for an athlete, especially in snowcross. For years, snowcross lacked this. Snowcross is a mental game. Having someone there who has been there in those moments where wins are on the line, saying something to calm a young racer down, like, hey, it's just another race. Treat it as that. You can do this. Right there is an invaluable resource. Along with coaching, Blair is at many shows for Ski-Doo repping the brand in the sport of snowcross. Well, that is the story of a motocrosser turned snowcrosser, race team owner to coach, and an ambassador to the sport he loves. Thank you for watching. I know it's been a while since my last video. I've been working on this one for months, digging for hours and hours, and trying to find old buried articles, videos, and pictures of BMRT. Now this is the end of the story for BMRT, but I did have a whole bunch of those pictures and videos left over, so I thought instead of just having them for me, I'd put them in a slideshow for you. So hope you enjoy it. Thanks again. Please like and subscribe if you like this. That also helps push out these videos and get the history out there. Thanks again. We'll see you on the next one.